Okay, we're going to do a Stoke Tourist portable grill dismantle. You will need to know how to do it eventually, to clean it or to replace parts. So we're going to get right into it. I did a review of this grill, which I really like, and I still use it several times a week. I bought it to go camping, but I haven't been camping, so I've been using it here. So I am going to show you how to dismantle it and put it back together. And the tools that you will need, sorry about that, any kind of needle nose pliers, some kind of adjustable wrench or open end wrenches. There's one nut we have to remove, and the T20 star screwdriver. I may call it a wrench off and on. I have a tendency to, but we will know what we're talking about. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to remove the lid, the grill itself, and the flash pan. That's a good start. Then we will remove the kettle, these three clips. So that's out of here. These are the clips that hold it on. First thing we're going to remove is the most fragile thing on the grill, is the spark plug. You hit this button and it sends electrical impulse or whatever through the spark plug. It makes a little arc while there's fuel, propane, coming out of these little holes, and the spark makes the fuel ignite itself and you have a burner. And it's good that we're removing this first because it's very fragile, and we've got the ring and we got these raised section that protects this and protects that until we get it off. The only thing that's holding it on is this little hex bolt, and on the underside is a nut and lock washer. It's the only, of all the bolts that we're going to remove, which is here, here, and there, they're all the same length, so if you get them mixed up, no big deal. But the starter spark plug is the only one that has a lock washer. The rest have a bolt and nut. This is the only one that has a bolt, nut, and lock washer. Okay. So what I'm going to do is put my screwdriver on that nut, on that bolt head, which is the star wrench, and if I have to, I will use the needle nose plier just to hold it until you loosen it. Back that screw out, and then when I get that screw out, I'm going to take my needle nose and right about here, where there's still metal, there's wire here, but there's metal, I'm going to pull that out, and that's what we'll do after we get the nut off. I'm going to try to do it now. It's kind of stiff, and I'm kind of leaning over the table. I'm doing it up in the air. Okay, so that's good. And then I'll remove this nut, and this whole thing will lift out of there. So that's what I'll do right now, and take this off, take this nut off. Remember, the nut has a flat side to hold the washer on, and it's hollow on the back, so the hollow points towards the center. So remove your spark plug, remove your lead to your starter, then remove this, and remove these three bolts and nuts that are embedded in the plastic right there, and then we'll go from there. I want to make clear that you don't have to remove these. You will when we remove the valve on these, but this one, leave your nuts in there, in the starter cover, so this goes on like that. This slips on over that. Hope I'm still on camera. And then this, of course, fits inside there. Okay. So we're good. And I did notice something, that the nuts that are in these little pockets are slightly bigger than the nut that holds the spark plug on. They'll just sit there and spin in the hole when you try to replace them. So if it's just spinning, it's not grabbing the hexagon sides of the pocket there. That's the nut for the lock washer. So it looks, I mean, yeah, for the lock wash bolt and nut for the spark plug. So the only oddball in this whole thing is the spark plug. You have something odd, it's for the spark plug. Spark plug's the only one that has a lock nut, only one that has a smaller headed nut. Other than that, all the bolts and nuts are the same. So if you're not confused yet, it's early. Alright, so next we'll remove this, remove the burner. That's just a matter of turning it, spinning it off. Don't drop it. I don't recommend washing this because it's raw metal and it will rust, and then it'll cave in, and then you have to order another one. So it's so protected with this flash pan and everything, it never gets greasy, so no reason to wash it. Next we're going to remove this ring, and the ring is held on by these three pan holders or whatever, great risers, whatever they're called. They're held on by these hitch pins. They're like a hitch pin for a trailer hitch, but they're just miniaturized. So we're going to back all three of these out. So I'll do that. And notice this little keeper that holds this leg down. Make sure when we put all this back together that this is on top of the valve dial, because I put it all together and found out that thing was underneath. So we're going to keep an eye on this throughout the dismantle, but right now we're going to focus on these hitch pins, so I'm going to pull them out. And all I'm going to do is just push towards the direction that the head is. There's three of them. So it kind of looks like a pedestrian walking symbol, I guess. So just push that direction away from the ring that is holding it, and it'll come right up. We'll set these aside, and you'll notice as we flip it over now, oops, sorry about that, the ring will lift right off. That's where the little hitch pins went in. And these can only go on one way. So that was smart of Stoke to do that, because you don't get this right, the kettle don't go on right. So it only goes on one way. They're just off enough. If you break these off, you're on your own, but that's kind of nice. Either that or I got to get out more. I haven't figured it out. Next is taking out this little nut that's holding this whole apparatus here. So we're going to remove that, and then remove these last bolts. So we're nearing the end. Now be careful not to, especially if you use channel locks and bite down, it's a very shallow nut. You can slip off and bite into these threads. That's why it's good to use an open end wrench or a adjustable wrench, I guess, if you have to. And a good adjustable wrench operator will turn towards the jaw, the bottom jaw. Less chance of you slipping off, less chance you breaking your wrench. Now, when you first take them off, you sometimes got to really put a lot of pressure on it. Don't use that brass stem that's underneath here for this valve as a fulcrum to give you leverage. You'll kink it, and then you'll be out of barbecuing. This is something I didn't even know was here, was this plate, which lifts right off. And usually the underside is not too bad. This was the one, if you see my other video, it was horrible. It was greasy and nasty. But this comes off next, and that's the main culprit we want to clean. Flip this over. Now, see, this is the stem I was telling you about. You don't want to use this as a lever if you should take these bolts off first. It's a hollow tube with a shaft running up the center, but you can kink it. So that is loose. So now what we need to do is remove these two nuts and bolts. And the nuts are embedded in this little hex pockets. Just back them off and pull this out of this little keeper, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we will lift this up, lift this out, and set it aside. Now we have all the parts to be washed. Now this got so bad that I soaked it. I boiled it. I scrubbed on it. And the only thing that cleaned it was a Scotch-Brite, which is pretty aggressive. I'll show you one. I tried to save myself a trip to the Home Depot and get just because I had what do you call them? Well, it looks like this, except they're, you use them for painting, taking light sanding, Brillo pad, SOS pad. This is a little more aggressive than that. These Scotch-Brites just raw metal, and they'll start rusting soon after you use them. And then you just submerge this in water, and you just see how I literally got after it. And some of the areas around here, I've since cooked it since I washed it last, just a couple times. I used a kind of a decent knife, and I had to even get in around here to loosen this stuff. But the Scotch-Brite was the only thing that removed the really burned on bad stuff. And then you pretty much got to throw it away because it starts rusting. They have silver ones and they have copper ones. I guess I like shiny things, so that's why I got these. But I don't know if an SOS pad is kind of fine. Steel wool, that was the word I was looking for. That's what I had, was steel wool, and it didn't cut it. I needed something with the loops and the rings and a little looser wound. And I don't know if having it copper mattered, but it got off in short order. I dipped it in water and then scrubbed on it and dipped it some more. Tried to keep this out, but what water it did pick up, it started rusting, so I just threw it away. One-time use. Alright, you can submerge this if you want, but what you don't submerge, I don't recommend this. Putting this in the water, your burner, and certainly your spark plug and starter, don't put that in the water. So now, we're going to put it back together. So we'll lay this baby back on here. Right here is where the spark plug holes are. It's the only one that has two holes next to each other. And that's where this little window is. It fits right in there. Also, these are imprinted down, and these are imprinted up, and they fit inside each other, so they'll lock right into place. So we'll put the burner back on, this thing back on, and we'll make sure we go underneath the keeper. Just kind of get it there and hold it there until you get the nut in. This is where you have a tendency to want to use the valve stem for a fulcrum, but just tighten it with your hands. Then get these in place and then put your nut on there and tighten this first before you bear down on that. So go ahead and just start your nut on this side. Go ahead and put your nut and bolt on the valve, and we will go from there. Okay, I got the nuts back on the valve. Now I'm going to tighten the nut. Now we're not out in the oil field where we need to do tight as you can in 2 more turns. You just need to snug it up. That's a term from Wyoming. I spent most of my adult life out there in Virginia now. So just give it a good little oomph. And then we will put this thing on. No idea how it will go because it only goes on one way. So it's kind of like if you're a betting man. What I do is just get one started, and then just the one that you're started with, just keep moving it around. No, I ain't it. Get all your little things on the outside. Just grab one and keep moving it from hole to hole, and when the other ones drop in, that's it. That's the one you want. So let's see, what's next? Oh. Okay, flip it over, keep it in the holes, and put your hitch pins back in. So I'm just going to slip them in, not too hard. There's 3 of them. One last chance to get your keeper on the outside of your brass tube there. Supposed to be on top, not underneath. If you put it underneath, you have to start all over. Got the pins in. And we'll put the, I can't remember if I put this one on first. We can. This is your burner. And then from underneath, put this on. Make sure that's on there. It's held on by a nut. Just kind of get that going. It's like a juggling act here. For my next trick, I'll put the spark plug on. And that goes from underneath. Handle it carefully, unlike me, and make sure that it's above the burner. Don't force it on. If you got to force it on, you're not doing it right. Remember, this is the only one that has a nut and lock washer. So I'm going to try to drop that in there. You got to have the patience of a drunk Swiss clockmaker to do this sometimes, but and a dang spark plug is just small enough hole where you actually gotta thread the darn thing. Then put the lock washer, then put your tiny nut on. I put that nut and lock washer on. I'm going to start this, get slid on the best I can, and then again with having it up in, this is the metal part, this is the wire part, grab it by the metal part, just give it a little push in there. There you go. Now put the kettle on, face the valve towards you. If you remember from my grill, bring all these clips inwards. Have the valve knob facing towards you. And you got the weep hole in the back, the valve in the front, and the thing will lay right into place. Let's see if I can adjust this without making you seasick. The weep hole for the little grease catching thing is in the back, and the valve is in the front. If you do that, these little bulbous little areas will lay right on top of these grates, and then it'll be perfect every time. Clip up your clip-and-z's. Remember your little fin. I don't know if you can see it. It goes right on the 4 o'clock stand. There's 3 stands here. One has a fin that goes into this. Only one that's on the outer rim has a little raised fin that fits on that. And then your grill. And your lid. You're good to go for another season. So I hope that's helpful. If you do it in that order, it won't break anything. But if you need to remove a part, that's the order you should get to it. I hope that was helpful. Enjoy barbecuing, and clean the flash pan often, and the rest of it once or twice a year, and less chance of you giving ptomaine to your guests, and you will enjoy years and years of your tourist grill. Hope that was helpful. Have a great summer and winter. Bye-bye.